What is up? It's Abigail, and I'm just starting a channel because I feel like this is an adventure that I want to document. So, I'm an au pair in Australia, and what that means is I'm a nanny, and it's just a nanny in a different country. So, that's what I'm doing. This year I'm taking a gap year. I just graduated high school, and I'm doing this. So, when I was looking around for like au pair options, I guess, I like watched a bunch of YouTube videos and just like went on Google and literally just typed in like how to be an au pair and all this different stuff. And I watched a lot of au pair videos and they helped me, but they weren't like specific enough, I guess. I wanted to know what I was getting into just because I'd never done anything like this. I mean, until this year I hadn't even left the country, so like traveling wasn't really like a big part of like my like knowledge, I guess. So I kind of wanted to know like what to pack, like how families are, how like fitting into the family works, like all that kind of like very specific things. And I know that it's like different, like what to pack depends on where you're going and what like how the family is depends on the family, and like it's all very situational. But I want to make videos kind of very specific so that if people are looking into being an au pair, they kind of know what they're getting into. So yeah, that's what the videos are going to be. And I thought that like the first one would make sense. The first video, it would make sense to do like the first step of this, which is like deciding you want to be an au pair and finding a family, because those are like the two biggest things. So I decided I wanted to be an au pair when all my friends were like, they were all applying to college, and I didn't really, and they all like kind of felt like they knew what they wanted, and even if in college that changes, they still knew what they wanted to do. So I had no idea what I wanted to do. There was a couple colleges that I wanted to go to, but I wasn't like in love with, and hadn't even really toured that many because I just didn't really feel like college was the best thing for me at this time. So I was looking at other options. I knew that I really wanted to travel. I really liked kids. This all fell into place for me, and I found out about au pairing. Actually, I don't know how I found out about it. I think it's always been something I've always wanted to travel. Like one of my main things that I've always wanted to do since I can remember is like travel the world. And probably since I was like, I want to say like 8, my mom's always like been like, oh, you could be a flight attendant, or like there's exchange programs, and there's, I don't know what else, like there's job opportunities where you can do that. And I was like, well, I don't want to like do that as a job because I'm also someone who really likes to have a home. And she's like, well, you know, like after high school you can do stuff, and like there's options. So I grew up in a family where it wasn't like you have to go to college and you have to follow this path. It was always very open to like individuality, which I'm very appreciative for. So I think au pair has always been something that I knew about, but I never really thought about it until my senior year of high school. And in the summer, when a lot of people were applying for college and writing their essays, I just wasn't really doing that because I wasn't interested in that. But I was thinking about like, oh, what else can I do? And so eventually I landed on au pair. And I had a really good friend at the time who was going to college and applying for college, and I kind of was like, oh, you know what, like, this is what everyone else is doing, maybe I should just apply, and like, I'll go to college, and if I don't like it, I can take a gap year like after my first year. So I decided against au pairing, and I applied to college. I wrote my essay. I got accepted into like pretty much every college I applied for, which was great. Was not expecting it. I got into the college that I really wanted. I had declared a major. I had toured it. And then I toured it over spring break. So spring break was April, I think, about like March or April. So I started applying to colleges in September of 2017 about, so my senior year of high school. And I just wasn't feeling it, so I was like, you know what, I'm going to look into this. So I used the website, aupairworld.com, and I thought it was really reputable. I mean, I hadn't known anyone who did it. I literally found it by typing in to Google, like, how to be an au pair, or, like, finding a family, or just random things like that into Google. And I found two. I found Au Pair World, and then another one, like, Au Pair Search or something, but that one you had to pay for. And there's lots of agencies that you can also go through. I didn't even look into those because I knew I didn't want to do an agency. If you have the money, I think it's probably pretty good to use an agency because they help you hook up with families, help you get your visa, help like plan how you get there, but they're expensive. And they usually do a contract, and I didn't really want to do a contract. So I did it all myself. At the time I was still 17, so on my profile I just said, like, I'm going to be 18 in March, and it was September. So I just put that in my profile so everyone knew that, like, by the time that I was their au pair, I'd be 18. And I went on aupairworld.com. I'll leave that link down below in case anyone wants to check that out, if anyone's wanting to be an au pair. And I signed up. You create a profile. Whenever I talk about it with people, I'm always like, yeah, it's like a dating profile. Like, you just try to make yourself sound so good. I was like, I love kids, I love animals. I talked about how I'd been a lifeguard and how I was like lifeguard certified, and like I'd been babysitting for a while. Like, I was still in high school. Like, I'd never not been in school, so all the jobs that I had were like summer jobs and jobs that kids could get. So I just talked about that and like made myself sound so good. And then on the website you get to do like quick searches. So your first quick search, you just put in, I want to say it's like 5 countries that you'd want to go to, and I didn't really care. So I think the ones that I did on my quick search were Italy, Australia, France, Japan, and I looked at Canada because I was like, oh, like, it's closer. And then I did another, it was 5. So I really didn't care though, like, all over the world was fine with me. So then that was like my quick searches, and the quick searches is just so when you go onto the search, like, those ones just pop up, but you can always go back and change them. And so I changed them like pretty regularly just to like check around and see like my options basically. And you also get to put if you want to be in a big city, a small town, how many kids, if you're okay with pets, if you smoke, if you're okay with parents who smoke, if you're okay with divorced parents, if you're okay with like disabled children. And for most of those I said yes for. The disabilities one, I don't still currently have any experience with disabled children, but I was willing to learn, so I put yes. And that one was like kind of scary. I was like, I don't know, like, it would have to really depend. And divorced parents was kind of the same thing. It would really have to depend on situations. And then kids, I said, I think up to 4 or up to 5, something like that. But I didn't want any only children because the only children that I have dealt with in the past have been more difficult just because they're used to like so much attention. Also, I think like having more kids is more fun because you have a little bit more of a age range. So I clicked all of that, and then I was checking the time, and then I just did like my quick searches, and I probably did that for like a month. And in that time, there's like little pictures of the family and a short description when you do your quick search. This was when I was using it, so they might have updated it or changed it from then. And so I talked to probably like, in the whole time I probably talked to like 6 families. And the first one that I got, I think it's really normal, like the first, because you click on it and you put message, and then you can write a message to them. And my messages probably usually went like, hi, my name's Abigail, I'm from the United States, I'm looking for an au pair job, I can start in, I think I said August, yeah, I can start in August, I want to do it for a full year, just like a short description about like me and what I've done, like how I was a lifeguard, and like I've always loved kids, I like animals, I'm into the arts, like just like pretty short and brief, just as like a hi, I'd love to get to know you more. And then you kind of just wait for them to message you back. And so the first family I talked to was in Italy, and they messaged me back pretty soon, and I didn't commit to them, but I talked to them, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to Italy. Like, it was the first family I talked to, and I think that you probably should not, like, go with the first family that messages you. I mean, like, if you like them, I would just talk to multiple families. And if you like the first one you talk to more than the other ones, go with them, but don't go with them because they're the first. So I talked to them for a while, and I was talking to like other families along with them, and I kind of realized that like their situation and what they were looking for in an au pair wasn't what I was looking for in my au pair experience. So I let them know, and I think it's really good to let them know pretty much as soon as possible so that they can continue looking for au pairs. And I set up a WhatsApp, and I would suggest that everyone does that because it's pretty much the easiest way to contact people all over the world, and it's just like a texting app. And it's free, and it's super easy to use. You use your phone number, but I don't think that they can see your phone number. So like, I don't know. That's what I used the whole time. I didn't have any problems with it. So then I was talking to a family in France and a family, I think the dog got into something, in Milan. Trying to see if the dog's doing something. And the family in Milan, they kind of played me, I'm not gonna lie, because their profile said that they had, I think, 2 little girls who were like 6. And I was like, oh, like, they were twins. And I was like, oh, okay, like, cool, that's fine. So I was messaging them, and I messaged them for a while, like, WhatsApp. We talked for probably like 2 or 3 weeks. I was super into them. Like, Milan sounded perfect. Like, I love fashion. I want to be a fashion major. So I was like, fashion capital of the world. Super nice family. They said they lived in a really great location, and a lot of other people had au pairs so that I'd be able to find friends and stuff. So I was really into that family. And then she pops up with, oh, and I'm having a baby in June. And I did not, on my thing, I specifically did not want any babies. Like, anyone under, I think I said 2, I didn't want to be an au pair for. So she was like, yeah, I'm having a baby. And she hadn't put that on her profile that, like, she was pregnant or that she was about to have a newborn. So by the time I got there, it was going to be 3 months old, 2 months old. So I was like, oh, like, I don't want to deal with a baby. Like, no. But I think that's kind of rude. Like, if you know you're pregnant and you know you're having a baby, put that on your profile. Don't just, like, say that after 3 weeks of me talking and me thinking that I was going to, like, be your au pair. But I really talked to, like, so many different families, and then I didn't really want to go to a small town, which is weird because that's where I am. But then I met a family that I'm with now, and we messaged on Au Pair World, and we, like, texted on WhatsApp, and then pretty soon off, the family was like, we want to FaceTime with you, so, like, FaceTime or Skype, and I was like, okay, like, sounds good. And that was the first time I had FaceTimed with a family. And so I was, like, super nervous, and I was in my room, and I was like, I don't know what to wear, I don't know, like, what to do with my hands. Like, I was so nervous. And so we FaceTime for probably, and the time difference, they're in Australia, remember? So the time difference is, like, big. So it's, like, 9 o'clock at night for me, and I'm, like, kind of tired, and it's only, like, 11 in the morning in Australia. So they were like, oh, they were like talking about like everything. We talked for a long time. We probably talked for like, I don't know, a good like hour. And they were like, okay, like, nice meeting you. And we hung up, and then we continued messaging, and they were like, so we want to FaceTime again, and this time we want the kids to be there, which I think is a really important thing for the kids to know who you are pretty soon, so that they can kind of start getting the idea of you in their head. And I was like, okay, yeah, like, sounds great. So probably like a couple weeks later, maybe like 2 weeks later, I FaceTimed them again, and the kids were there, and we talked, and like they're really cute. And the kids are 2, 6, and 10. So at the time they were a year younger because all 3 of them had birthdays. So I talked to them, and then afterwards, one of the little girls, the oldest one, was like, I want to write to you. And I was like, okay, like I'll write to you. So I like wrote her a note and like sent that. And then I got a text from them. My camera just stopped recording. I got a text from them saying, we want you to be our au pair, like we want to like commit to you and like basically like sign you on. And I was like, okay, well, I'm still talking to like a couple other families. I'll let you know in the next like week. And they said that sounded good. So I continued talking to, I think I was only talking to like 1 or 2 other families by then. And I was actually still talking to the first family. And I let them know pretty immediately. I was like, hey, because I kind of knew that I liked the other family better, so I kind of just was like, hey, I just wanted to let you know that I'm talking to another family, and I think that I'm going to go on with them. I'm sorry that this didn't work out. It was like a breakup text. It was so weird. It's like really a weird situation because you never met them, but you also don't want them to like, I don't know, dislike you. Maybe you don't care and you just like cut them off, but that wasn't me. I was like, I really hope you find your au pair, like the perfect au pair for your family or something like that. And then I was still talking to another one, and like we hadn't FaceTimed or anything, and I had suggested it and they were like, no. And then I was like, okay, like that's fine. And then probably like 3 days after the first family, like the Australian family had said that they wanted to sign me on, I texted them back and said, I've decided that I want to like be your family's au pair as well, basically. And after that, I stopped talking to the other families. I let them know that I was like already committed to another family and that I hoped that they found their au pair. And then after you commit to a family is like really when everything gets really real. So we still continued to talk and we still continued to FaceTime. I think we probably FaceTimed like once a month about, just to like kind of keep updated and like in contact. And we texted probably like more than that, like once a week, once every 2 weeks. And I think I decided to go with them I started talking to them like November, December. And yeah, so like by this time it was probably February-ish. And that's when all my acceptance letters from college started rolling in. And which was funny because I already knew I wasn't going to college, but I got into the college that I really wanted to get into. And I had gotten into the arts program, which I really wanted to get into. And my mom was like, I think it's still good to go tour it, and you can always defer. And so we did that, and I talked to the fashion, like one of like the main fashion professors, like teachers, I guess. And I talked about deferring because I got into fashion merchandising and I realized I wanted to be in fashion design. And she was like, okay, well, you'll have to submit a portfolio for fashion design, so it's probably going to be easier if you just reapply with your portfolio instead of trying to defer, because that only defers you from the school. I had applied to like 7 schools last time, so I'm only applying to a couple this time. I toured college, and then I decided like I just didn't defer, I didn't say anything, and I'm just going to reapply. So I had already committed to this family in Australia, live in a super tiny town in Queensland. I met the kids, and then I wanted them to meet, because I was still living with like my mom, obviously. I wanted them to meet her, so we FaceTimed, and they like talked to my mom, and just because like I did meet them online, and they're strangers, and I'm moving to literally the other side of the world in a foreign country. Luckily I know the language. That is one reason that I wanted to come to Australia, is because they speak English, and I know that if they if I went to a different country with a different language, I know that I would pick up the language, but it would take a while, and like meeting people and going out and stuff would be a lot harder. So that was kind of a big thing for me, and if that matters to you, Australia is a good choice. So they met my mom, and we probably FaceTimed like them and my mom like 2 times. He was really convinced, probably until I got here, that they were like kidnappers and I was never coming back, and that they were gonna try to like human traffic me. So if one of your parents is not okay with it, it's okay. And they'll get over it. They talked with my dad, and my dad was like, I guess he was more like okay with it and felt better about it after he talked to them, but I don't know. I'm not convinced about that. So they met my mom and dad, and then I met their kids, obviously. Meeting the kids I think is super important. I think I already said that. So I was still 17 at the time, and you can't apply for a visa until you're 18. So I tried to start the process, but it didn't work because I was 17. So for Australia, I don't know about the other countries. I didn't try to apply. Only Australia. The visa you need is it's the visa 462, and it's the work and holiday visa. And you apply to that one, and then on it there's a part that says you can only work with the same employer for 6 months. But if you're doing other things, like there's certain jobs you can say you're doing that you can have longer. You just have to reapply. So au pair is one of the jobs that you can have that you can work for a full year, but you just have to apply for like a subclass kind of thing, an extension, and that'll extend it by 6 more months so you can work a full year. You have to apply to that at least 2 weeks before your other visa runs out, or like your 6 months runs out. Visa 462, work and holiday. I tried to apply for that and I couldn't. I had to wait until I was 18, and that was in like a month. So I just waited, and once I filled that out, I submitted it. It's expensive. It's like, I think I paid $340 or something. It's almost $400 just for the visa. I paid for all of this myself, by the way. So I paid for that, and then probably like a week or 2 later, I got a notification about my visa, and I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, it already came. No, you have to have a diploma for that one, a high school diploma, which I didn't have yet because I hadn't graduated, and my graduation wasn't until June. And in the email, it said that if I didn't provide the necessary documents within the next, I think, 14 days, so 2 weeks, I was going to have to restart my whole visa. That means pay for it again. So I emailed them really fast, like that same day, and I explained the situation, and I said, I'll have my diploma in June. I graduate June 10th. In the meantime, can my guidance counselor or someone send something over saying that I'm on the path to graduate and that I'm going to graduate? And the lady said no, but she would extend it so that I had until, I think it was like, so I graduated June 10th, and I think I had until June 14th to resubmit the paperwork. And I was like, okay, like, yeah, that's fine. And I talked to my guidance counselor about it because I wasn't going to college, so I didn't need my transcript sent anywhere. And she was like, okay, like, no problem. So literally, I graduated on, I think, a Saturday, and that Sunday I'd gone over to my dad's to scan in my diploma and send it in. So I got that taken care of. So I bought my ticket after my paperwork was done. And with my ticket, I was, again, paying for all of this myself, so I was going a cheap route. And I got my ticket at Fairboom. I can put a link to that too. And so I got a one-way ticket for, I want to say, like $950, which is really, really good. I think it's worth paying a little bit more for like a travel experience that is going to be less stressful. That was kind of all the stuff that I had to do. I had to buy a ticket, I had to get my visa, and I had to find a family. And I had done all those things. So then it kind of just became like a waiting game and like me getting ready. So over the summer I did travel. I went to Paris, which was a really good travel experience. It was still like an 8-hour flight, which was the longest flight I'd been on. And I went to Mexico, which is only like a 4-hour flight or something. The next like couple months I saved up money and I like got a couple things that I needed. But yeah, now I live in Australia for a year. I've only been here for 16 days. So 2.5 weeks. I mean, so far I like it. The kids are great, the family's great. I mean, if you have questions or like if you're becoming an au pair and you don't really know what to expect, leave comments and I'll try to answer them. I say this like I'm a real YouTuber when this is the first video. See you in my next video, I guess.